Are we at a turning point, headed for a recession?
Storm clouds of recession looming, and the storm is really coming.
With inflation at a 40-year high, many experts warn of a possible economic slowdown.
A recession is almost inevitable.
No, I am not a prophet of doom. But yes, I have a probable reason to believe that the 2023 world economic recession, or is it recession, whatever, has just begun. My name is Wole, and in today's video, I will be giving a deep explanation on why I feel a recession has started. You see, central banks across the world are taking a pause on interest rate hikes. Perhaps in the future, start cutting them. Inflation is starting to drop, mortgage rates are still on the high side, unemployment is going up. I will be uncovering so much in this video. Now, before we start, if you don't have a background in economics, what I'm about to explain may sound confusing and I will be throwing a lot of numbers around, so just bear with me. I will try as much as possible to break everything down as simple as possible, and if you ever get confused, you can do one of two things. You either smash that like button or you grab a bottle of champagne. Oh, sorry, I forgot we are not in a party. I mean a bottle of water and drink. That being said, let us cut right to the chase.
And you are now about to feel the strength of street knowledge.
So, a quick backstory. The world entered into a pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Economic activities in most parts of the world was grounded to a halt. People couldn't do business, and when the lockdown was lifted, economic activities started picking up. They were very slow. Crude oil price reached a low of $24 per barrel during the lockdown. Inflation rates were very low. It was below 2% in US, below 2% in UK, it was below 1% in Canada. Switzerland even had inflation figure below 0%. Can you imagine? Those ones, they don't have problem. Now, if you have a background in economics, I apologize for insulting your intelligence, but for my Main Street people who don't know what inflation is, it's the general increase in price of goods and services, or let's just say it is when a lot of money is chasing after few goods. Let's just stick to that definition. I will touch more on this later in the video. Anyways, governments of the world started intervening in the economy by pumping money into businesses. That era was called the era of quantitative easing, which simply means more money was flowing into the economy. People were getting palliatives, businesses were being supported, interest rate was near 0%. In the US, people were picking up from where they stopped before the pandemic started. But something terrible happened in 2022.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
On the 24th of February 2022, Russia launched a military invasion on Ukraine, and that has changed the economic landscape of countries across the world from then till now. I will explain. Different countries started imposing sanctions on Russia, which led to a cut in the supply of crude oil in the international market. As of September of this year, Russia is the second largest producer of crude oil, second only to the United States. Also, Ukraine, one of the largest producers of grains in Europe, started having problems exporting their commodities, which led to a shortage of grains in the global economy. Basic Economics 101 states that once demand is more than supply, prices of goods will start rising. And that exactly is what has been happening since February of 2022 when the war started. Now let's bring this home. One of the most important primary responsibilities of the apex bank of any country is to ensure price stability. What exactly does this mean? If inflation, which we have defined, starts going up, the government through the central bank, we have to intervene by adopting what we call a contractionary monetary policy. At this point, you might want to pull out your cup for the champagne, water, because things are about to get serious. I will explain how government control inflation with this picture you can see right here. Once inflation is going up, government will look for ways to mop up money in the economy. So they will hike rates, which is also called quantitative tightening, and once they do that, prices of goods will start dropping. People and businesses will find it difficult to borrow money from the bank because of high interest rates. And the same thing, if government wants to stimulate activities in the economy, they would drop the interest rate by adopting what we call an expansionary monetary policy, also known as quantitative easing. And that was what happened during the lockdown, like I have explained. So moving on, apex banks have been hiking interest rates to combat inflation, and we have started seeing the impact. Remember, I said earlier that interest rates in the US was near 0% and inflation rate was below 2% before COVID. That same inflation rose to a 20-year high of 9% in June of 2022. The US had to hike interest rates, which is also known as the Fed fund rate, 7 consecutive times, with the rate now ranging between 5.25% to 5.5%, just to bring inflation figure to the current level of 3.7%. Have I lost you? I hope not. Same with the rest of the world. I will only be using the US and the UK for the purpose of this video. Remember, I also said UK's inflation rate was below 2% after lockdown. It went as high as 11.1% in October of 2022, and the Bank of England had to react by hiking interest rates multiple times from about 1% in April of 2022 to the current level of 5.25% before they could bring inflation down to the current level of 6.7%, which is still considered very high. Now, it's good that inflation is coming down, but there is a problem. Other parts of the economy are getting hurt. For example, higher interest rates started making mortgage rates shoot up. In the US, mortgage rate on a 30-year mortgage home was below 3% before COVID, but because government started hiking rates, the rate hike started hurting homeowners. Now the mortgage rate is currently as high as 8%. Very terrible time for homeowners. People are finding it difficult to refinance the mortgage payment on their homes, leading to foreclosures on their properties. Constant rate hikes also lead to higher unemployment rates. How do I mean? Remember, I said people and businesses will find it more difficult to borrow money from the banks when rates are going up. Exactly. It means employers won't have enough money for recruitment and people will be thrown into the unemployment territory. We have seen big companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon lay off thousands of employees just this past 1 year. Moving on, apex banks are starting to take a break on rate hike. For 2 consecutive meetings, the Federal Reserve, which is the apex bank in the US, has refused to increase rates. They have retained their interest rate, which is the Fed fund rate, at 5.25% to 5.5%. That is the range. Same with UK, and I honestly don't see them hiking rates again. Why? Report of the US non-farm payroll, which is basically a report that shows the number of new jobs added every month, showed that less jobs were added in October, about 150,000, compared to the 297,000 added in September. Employers are less willing to hire now. It shows that less money is in the economy, so there is no need to hike interest rates any further. Also, unemployment rate increased in the US from 3.8% to 3.9%. The million-dollar question is, why do I feel a recession has begun? Data from UK is scaring the hell out of me. For my Main Street people, a recession is when the GDP is also known as the aggregate output of any country, is negative for 2 consecutive quarters. Quarter means every 3 months. Now, UK have recorded their first negative GDP growth, which was negative 0.5% at the end of September. If they record another negative GDP growth by the end of December, which is next month, then the UK will officially be in a recession. It is already looking like UK will record another negative GDP growth by December. Inflation in the UK is still pretty much high, 6.7% currently compared to what we have in US, which is 3.7%. The Bank of England chief economist Hugh Peel, or is it Hoy Peel? Or Peel? Anyways, the Bank of England chief economist has come out to say rate cut might start next year. That will be all I have for you in this video. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already and smash that like button. Also follow me on my various social media platforms. Link will be in the description of this video. And if you are a trader or you are looking to get into trading, consider reading my free ebook. The link will be in the description of this video as well. Till I come your way, signing out, your boy, the ball hedger. Bye bye.